All right, everyone, I have 6 o'clock, so I will call this meeting, special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for October 19th, 2017 to order. Our chair, Lisa Patterson, is not able to be here because her mother has had some health issues, and they had a doctor's appointment in Austin, which precluded her being able to be here. So I will try valiantly to fill some very big shoes. So with that being said, Viviana, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Debbie Moore.
Present.
Patrick Connell.
Here.
Diana Rose.
Here.
Cynthia Meyer.
Here.
Sue Ann Fruget.
Here.
Richard Gartman.
Here.
Matt Lassen.
Here.
We have a quorum. I thank all the members being here for this special meeting. The next order on the agenda is citizen comments. Comments will be heard from the audience on any topic that's not on the agenda and not to exceed 3 minutes in length. If you're here to speak on something that is on the agenda, please hold your comments until then. Viviana, do you have any citizen comments?
No, ma'am.
Then we'll move on to the next item. Item 3 is items for individual consideration. This will be a public hearing to consider action to recommend approval of a conditional use permit, or CUP, for Hunter's Crossing subdivision, Section 2A, Lot 2, to allow for an indoor commercial amusement use in an approximately 2,200 square foot shopping center suite located at 201 Hunter's Crossing Boulevard, Suite 14, and we would forward that to the City Council for their October 24 meeting and their consideration. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing, and we'll have our staff recommendations and report.
Good evening.
Thank you, Jennifer.
What we have a request for tonight is a conditional use permit to allow an indoor commercial amusement use at the shopping center. In some little background, this is one suite in the shopping center on Hunter's Crossing Boulevard that location-wise is this little red square down there. It's around other uses such as restaurants, a jiu-jitsu space, dentist office, your regular commercial uses, and a small shopping center. It's got a fair amount of parking already around the development. The request is to allow an indoor playground that would be used for children 12 and under to play indoors, especially during the Texas summers, and for their parents to sit and watch and keep track. It's not a day camp or a drop-off center for children. This is part of the Hunter's Crossing Section 2A subdivision and part of the Hunter's Crossing Plan Development and Zoning. And the future land use for this entire area is general commercial. This use within our standard zoning code of the city of Bastrop would be allowed by right in the base district of C1. However, the Hunter's Crossing commercial plan development document specifically called out this use as one that needed a conditional use permit. It was with a list that I provided in your report of several others, similar uses that required CUPs and other things that were not allowed that may be in our regular code. So that's what's driving the need for the CUP in this instance. Our conditional use permit requirements that there are 5 main conditions: that the use be harmonious and compatible with the existing and future uses in the area, that the activities are normally associated with the base district of the area, that the nature of the use is reasonable, that any negative impacts are mitigated for the surrounding area, and that there's any additional concerns in the region that they be mitigated as well. We have 4 standard conditions that go with any of our CUPs: that any construction needs to be in conformance with our regulations, building permits have to be acquired before construction, and that building permits must be secured within 1 year of the final approval for the CUP. And any addition or enlargement of the conditional use would have to come back to P&Z and Council for amendment. While reviewing this, staff has not proposed any additional conditions. This use seems to be in line with the area. Going back, looking at, directly to the south, you've got open space. That's the drainage area for the subdivision. To the east, you'll have the future multifamily, and then to the west and north, you have commercial uses. After this meeting, a report will be prepared to send to City Council for their second reading. In the City of Bastrop, all ordinances require a first and second reading, and nothing's final until that second reading action. So Council will consider your recommendation at the October 24th meeting.
So the reason we're here is not because of city zoning requirements, but because of Hunter's Crossing.
Yes, it's the Hunter's Crossing plan development that requires the conditional use permit. If it were in one of our base commercial districts,
right,
this would not have been required. Indoor commercial amusement use would have been allowed by right and would not have had to get this CUP.
Okay. Commission members, does anybody have a question? And staff recommends approval.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Patrick?
No, ma'am.
Anybody?
And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
I'm sorry?
I said the applicant is here if you have
Thank
any
you.
questions for her.
Thank you. Turn on your mic, please, sir.
That's a question about number 3 as far as the code of ordinances for chapter 14 zoning. Just, they have to meet certain criteria. Number 3 is the nature of the use is reasonable. Mm-hmm. What does the staff use to determine reasonability?
Looking at the surrounding use and size is a lot. If you're trying to put a very, so one of our conditional use permit requirements is for churches in residential areas. If you were trying to put a 1,000-person seated church in the middle of a residentially zoned neighborhood, that might not be a reasonable use for a tract, depending on how large the lot was and parking conditions and all of those kind of things. So it really depends on the situation.
So is it kind of like a vote in the office?
In the
city office? Like poll everybody and
No,
everyone kind of says, I think
it's
this is
just our internal staff review between myself and planning director and other city departments that may be affected.
So ultimately the planning director would decide if it was reasonable or
Yes.
not?
And the parking is sufficient?
Yes. Yeah, the requirements for parking in that area are 1 to 250 square feet, so.
Okay.
The only question I have with 2,200 square feet, which obviously there's not going to be bouncy houses or anything inside there in that space, right?
No, my understanding is it's going to be basically soft indoor play equipment, so the same you'd have on a playground, but with soft surfaces, so kids can run around and not be hurt.
Occupancy requirements already built into the city code?
Yes.
Is this the final build out for that building? Do you know?
That layout, you mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, Suite 14, I'm trying to figure out if I think that's the last build out space that you have in that whole building.
I think I think there might be one vacant one.
Hold on a second, I think she might know.
I don't know.
It's the only building that's not actually built out yet.
Okay.
The one next to it is vacant, but it is fully built out in like office spaces.
Okay. And does this building, the parking requirements for this building when it was built, it factored in, I assume, future uses, and so we're just assuming, are we assuming the parking is legit, or we've calculated out?
It was calculated on the site plan.
Okay.
For the, basically a mixed-use commercial.
Okay.
And all of the neighboring comments that we have either received are either in favor or they have no objection. Is
Yes, we
that
have
correct?
received 3 in favor and 1 no objection.
Okay.
And we did actually over-notify in this situation. The code requires us to notify surrounding property owners, and we actually notified all of the tenants of the strip center as well, so.
What's that?
That would be the Hunter's Crossing plan development example of how their commercial uses are supposed to abut their residential uses.
Okay, got it.
It's part of the exhibit of uses.
Okay. Well, as I was looking at it, I was like, I don't see how this relates.
Yeah, it's part of the actual zoning document for the PD.
Got it. And is the commercial, is this use in this space, all the same regulations for just regular city zoning C1 apply, right? There's nothing special that we would worry about?
No, I mean, the base district is C1, so that's what we review against for all building standards.
Cool. All right. That's it.
Any more questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion, if not.
Motion to approve using staff recommended conditions.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Viviana, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Debbie Moore,
Yes.
Patrick Connell,
Yes.
Diana Rose,
Yes.
Cynthia Meyer,
Yes.
Sue Ann Fruget,
Yes.
Richard Gartman,
Yes.
Matt Lassen.
Yes.
It's unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Thank you, staff. We'll move on to item 4. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn, a second.
Second?
Anybody that wants to stay may, but otherwise we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.